Well, welcome again. I'm John Peterson, your host for Media World Extra. All right. Are you all set for this one? We're going to start off with podcaster on the right wing, Benny Johnson. Boy, here's a hit case. He's leading off with the chance to censor the left-wing media. Censor that and comedy. Doesn't like comedy at all. He posted this. Jimmy Kimmel made an assassination joke about President Trump before an attempt on Trump's life at the White House Correspondents' dinner fiasco. Well, I added fiasco. But anyway, that's what he's saying. Now, you might remember a long time ago during COVID, the Republicans, the MAGAs, did not like the Biden White House asking social media to moderate some of the medical advice that was being presented on their formats. After all, this is a public health issue, and the Republicans think that a public health issue is a political issue, which it is not, by the way. But anyway, let's get to the first cut here. This is Benny Johnson trying to dissect what's going on with Jimmy Kimmel because they're out to get him. He's their next target for censorship.
Here's Jimmy Kimmel. Because you knew that Jimmy Kimmel was going to fall ass backwards into this. We knew what was going to happen. And Jimmy Kimmel, who attacked Kid Rock and Turning Point USA relentlessly for hosting an alternative to the Super Bowl halftime show, hosted his own White House Correspondents' dinner parody. And he delivered this. Here it is. Jimmy Kimmel roasts Trump and his MAGA minions. It's up on his YouTube. Here's Jimmy Kimmel's roast. So he does 15 minutes making fun of Donald Trump. And while humor is still legal, a reminder that Jimmy Kimmel exists on ABC News.
I think that's a warning. Still legal. We're working on it. We're trying to make it illegal.
And ABC, which owns Jimmy Kimmel's show, has a right to broadcast in the public interest because the public is paying for the broadcasting of his program. And ABC gets these lavish tax deductions and gets to use effectively taxpayer-funded government infrastructure to broadcast it to every home in America.
Okay, now I want to say something here. This is an old rule. It broadcasts in the public good, all these over-the-air stations, including radio and television, all right? Now, this is something that they had to put in place. It was the guardrails. It was regulation for the media. Stay within bounds and make it a family affair. Now, the problem here is we are in a different age. We have other media now. We have streaming media. In fact, it's almost all on streaming media. I think it is time to do away with this over-the-air broadcast FCC control that they have. Now, they could redo it a little bit. I think they could. They don't have to throw everything out, but certainly not have this power or at least this very 20th century rule and regulation. Let's move on from there. It's time. All right, let's continue.
So Jimmy Kimmel has rules based on what he can and cannot say, based on those goodies that he's given by the government. Equal time, can't engage in sex, profanity, things like that. These are the kind of rules. So they've always been there.
Old rules.
Jimmy Kimmel isn't allowed to make jokes about the death of Charlie Kirk or the death of Donald Trump because how could you argue that that's in the public interest? But that's exactly what he did yesterday.
Our First Lady Melania is here. Look at Melania, so beautiful. Mrs. Trump, you have a glow like an expectant widow.
It may be related to death.
So Jimmy Kimmel is predicting that she's about to be a widow.
No.
What did Jimmy Kimmel know? Did Jimmy Kimmel go get a visit from the FBI? Jimmy Kimmel is joking about how Melania is about to lose her husband. And this, by the way, was broadcast literally moments before that man went and shot up the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Got within feet, frankly. Got outside of the door where President Trump was. In this fake White House Correspondents' Dinner speech, Jimmy Kimmel actually joked about the assassination before a real assassination showed up at the dinner. Hey, Disney, when the hell are you finally going to pull this vile person from the airwaves?
When are we going to pull that vile person off the internet? Let me just say something here. I think, to be perfectly clear, a joke before a shooting event is not related to or caused the shooting event, just to kind of clear things up a little bit, because he likes to cloud the issue. Now, let's get to whataboutism, all right? I've got a few examples here. Where was the FCC when WISN AM radio in Milwaukee, their host, Dan O'Donnell, posted the call to assassinate, this is for real, assassinate Governor Tim Walz. Now, I'm going to post this picture just so you know it's real. This really did happen. This is his post right here. Let's get to it. That's Don O'Donnell at WISN Radio in Milwaukee, not a target of the FCC and Brendan Carr for community standards. And certainly the station is scot-free on all of this stuff, too, although he's going after the major networks for not adhering to his advice. He's threatened them with license cancellation. How do you like that? But this guy, assassinated the governor of Minnesota, didn't see that one. Sorry. Should have brought it up, I guess. Or how about this one? This is another incredible example. WISN didn't serve the public interest when their morning guy, I don't know if he's there anymore, Jay Weber, was suspended 2 weeks after mocking Gus Walz, the 17-year-old son of Governor Walz, calling him a blubbering bitch boy because he cried at the Democratic National Convention. Very sympathetic, very, very, very sympathetic. There are two examples that I would like to give to shut their traps for good. It won't do it, but it should. Alex Preddy and Renee Good, all right? They were trashed. They were called traitors. They were called killers. Their good names sullied by the administration for no good reason whatsoever, just to push their point on ice. That sent a message, by the way, to a lot of people out there that it's open season on all these protesters, that they're all traitors and they're all potential killers that'll run you over. So will that stop them? I highly doubt it, because, again, we have something else to present to you. Their fearless leader, the madman in the White House, Trump, had laid the groundwork for all of this stuff. Let's listen.
President Donald Trump took to Truth Social, branding Arizona Senator Mark Kelly and 5 other congressional Democrats as traitors who deserve the death penalty.
Over the weekend, Trump effectively said that Milley should be executed for treason.
The president reacting to Mueller's death on Truth Social, saying, "I'm glad he's dead."
Knock the crap out of him, would you? I will pay for the legal fees.
If I say don't hurt him, then the press says, well, Trump isn't as tough as he used to be.
President Trump is responding to Rob Reiner's death, posting on Truth Social. Reiner's death was due to, quote, the anger he caused others through his massive, unyielding, and incurable affliction with a mind-crippling disease known as Trump derangement syndrome.
The former president posted this photo of himself getting ready to swing a baseball bat next to a photo of Bragg. Today, Bragg's office received a package containing white powder and a threatening note.
I love the old days. You know what they used to do to guys like that? They'd be carried out on a stretcher, folks. Like to punch him in the face, I'll tell you.
President Trump tweeting, when the looting starts, the shooting starts.
Try not to hurt him. If you do, I'll defend you in court.
We had some people, some rough guys like we have right in here, and they started punching back. It was a beautiful thing. Boom, boom, boom. Beat that.
He's threatening riots if he gets charged with a misdemeanor.
She says, the, quote, potential death and destruction in such a false charge could be catastrophic for our country.
I don't know if I'll do the fighting myself or if other people will. Like when you guys put somebody in the car and you're protecting their head, I said, you can take the hand away, okay? Proud boys. Stand back and stand by.
Our country is under siege. We're going to the Capitol to make your voices heard, and you have to get your people to fight, because you'll never take back our country with weakness. If you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore.
Amazing stuff, isn't it? So he has been actually encouraging violent rhetoric in this country, and the megas have picked up on it. They're saying a lot of things, including a lot of the messengers that he has out there doing their podcasts. Not me, of course. Okay, let's move past that. Fox News, by the way, seems pretty steamed over security problems and assassination attempts on Trump. That's too much for them. They asked the wrong guy, of course, Kash Patel. Let's see what he had to say.
Did a great job on the ground, but they remain reactive. The proactive approach is still under great scrutiny. The President of the United States is averaging an assassination attempt once a year. And there's still protocols that still, so who's going to do the investigating of the procedures? Secret Service can't investigate themselves because there's still people in leadership at the Secret Service that were responsible for Butler. How does that happen? It was a failure.
Right. I can't speak to Butler, and I agree it was a total failure. Absolutely. But I have full confidence in Secretary Mark Wayne Mullen. He oversees the United States Secret Service. I've talked to him repeatedly over the weekend, and I've spoken with him and said, whatever you need from the FBI, whatever we can assist in, and however we can better prepare to protect our protectees going forward with the United States Secret Service, this FBI stands ready to do, and we're going to improve that.
I'm behind you. I'm behind you all the way. Just give me a call sometime. Boy, that's proactive, huh? Whew. All right, let's get to something we talked about yesterday, and that is Trump falling as they tried to get him off the stage. Now, he fell. He was on 60 Minutes saying, no, I was told just to duck, get low on the stage. Well, we'll see anyway. Let's play this cut.
And I probably made them act a little bit more slowly. I said, wait a minute, let me see, wait a minute. So, I'm telling guys.
Just at that moment where it looks like you go sort of down with the service, you were telling them to wait?
Well, no, what happened is then I started walking with them. I started walking, and they said, please go down on the floor. So I went down, and First Lady went down also.
No, she didn't.
We were asked to go down by the agents as I was walking. In other words,
they wanted you almost to crawl.
I was standing up, pretty much. I was
trying to pick him up.
And
see that they're trying to pick him up.
Then turned around the opposite direction and started pretty much walking out, pretty tall, a little bent over because I'm not looking to be standing too tall.
Yes.
And but I was walking out. It was about halfway there, and they said, "Please go down to the floor. Please go down to the floor." So I dropped to the floor. So did the First Lady.
That's right. He didn't want to stand as tall as he did in Butler. Okay. I just don't believe him. And the First Lady did not also fall to the floor. You could obviously see that. I don't know why he thinks he can lie about it as we are watching the proceedings, but what the hell. Now, getting back to Kash Patel, this is something else. He's going to do an investigation. He is going to follow up on this. He is going to find out what's going on with the shooting. And when he finds out who's responsible for it, he is going to name names, which doesn't sound very helpful at all.
I mean, just remind everyone, this was almost the entirety of the president's cabinet, the president and vice president himself, and 2,000 members of the media. This is something the movies don't even write about, something like this kind of scenario.
They actually do. There are a whole bunch of movies dealing with just this
kind of tragedy. And thankfully, the quick reaction of law enforcement, we're going to be able to present to the world in less than 36 hours almost exactly what happened, this individual's entire background, who he knew, where he lived, who he was talking to, everything about the firearms, everything about the ballistics.
All the friends' names, everybody that knew Cole Allen, his family, where he lives, of course, his telephone number, who knows. Thank you, Kash, for promising that. I want to get to Trump's ego in all of this. He was on 60 Minutes. This was a big deal. It's amazing how much press he is getting at this point over this assassination attempt, at least an assassination attempt on his administration, not necessarily him at this point. But anyway, Nora O'Donnell is getting mansplained by our man baby about the shooter's manifesto. All right. Now, it's what the shooter wrote, and she's just reading it back to him. But you can't really do that to that kind of delicate ego. Let's watch.
So-called manifesto is a stunning thing to read, Mr. President. He appears to reference a motive in it. He writes this, quote, administration officials, they are targets. And he also wrote this, I am no longer willing to permit a pedophile, rapist, and traitor to coat my hands with his crimes. What's your reaction to that?
Well, I was waiting for you to read that because I knew you would, because you're horrible people, horrible people. Yeah, he did write that. I'm not a rapist. I didn't rape anybody.
But, do you think he was referring to you?
Excuse me. I'm not a pedophile. You read that crap from some sick person. I got associated with all stuff that has nothing to do with me. I was totally exonerated.
Never totally exonerated. And by the way, I think 13 and 14-year-olds telling the truth about being with Trump, I don't think they're lying.
Friends on the other side of the plate are the ones that were involved with, let's say, Epstein or other things. But I said to myself, I'll do this interview and they'll probably, I read the manifesto, he's a sick person, but you should be ashamed of yourself reading that because I'm not any of those things.
Mr. President,
and I
these
was
are
never,
the gunman's words.
Excuse me. You shouldn't be reading that on 60 Minutes. You're a disgrace. But go ahead. Let's finish the interview.
The other thing that he wrote in
You're a disgrace.
That's really a disgrace, really. All right, let's get to Trump also blaming the No Kings rallies and the Southern Poverty Law Center for promoting violence. This is crazy stuff as usual.
I see these No Kings, which are funded just like the Southern Law was funded. You saw all that. Southern Law is financing the KKK and lots of other radical, terrible groups. And then they go out and they say, oh, we've got to stop the KKK. And yet they give them hundreds of thousands and even millions of dollars. It's a total scam run by the Democrats. It shows you that, like Charlottesville was all funded by the Southern Law. That was a Southern Law deal, too. And it was done to make me look bad, and it turned out to be a total fake. It basically was a rigged election. This was a part of the rigging of the election, and that's what you really should be doing. I mean, I hope one of your 60-minute episodes, which really hasn't changed very much from the last few years, I'm surprised, but one of those episodes should be on Southern Law and the fact that they spent millions and millions of dollars on absolute far right and just bad groups. And then they'd use those groups and they'd say, these are Republican groups and we're coming to your rescue.
Yeah, they're not Republican groups at all. They only broke into the Capitol, I think, on January 6th. I could be wrong about that. Who knows? Now let's get to the weird, odd thing that was discovered recently where Usha Vance, J.D. Vance's wife, was in the same group, the same story in a TV station covering an event with Cole Allen, the shooter, when he came up with that break for wheelchairs. Well, this is somebody that noticed it. This is another web wisdom. Somebody put this thing together. I think it's fascinating. So let's watch.
So the Trump suspect Cole Allen and Usha Vance, J.D. Vance's wife, were actually in a video in a competition together in 2017, and it was in the news. What is happening? Look at this video. You're going to see both in there. This is at this tech conference where they're trying to get funding. Just look.
College student Cole Allen developed a prototype for a wheelchair emergency brake.
And there he is.
The wheelchair brakes tend to lock the wheels, but don't actually lock the chair to the ground. The idea with this
is interesting.
Is to prevent it from moving at all.
Recent
This seems
Aging into
nice.
the Future conference held by St. Barnabas Senior Services and the Eisner Foundation
You'll see Usha.
offered a test run on products that have the potential to
Get ready.
enrich the lives of
There.
There she is.
14 different tech startups.
Y'all see
got
her?
to present
How much of a coincidence is this? Is it just me, or does it seem like we're living in a clown world and they're all laughing in our faces allegedly? Or is this just one big coincidence and we should all shut up?
Oh, man. A great find. All right. Now, when it comes to security and freedom, when you trade freedom for security, you get neither. This is a fascinating look at how Trump thinks. Trump says that FISA should be renewed to spy on Americans, essentially. so the military can use it. He actually said he's willing to give up his freedom and security, which, by the way, is our freedom and security, just so the military can use FISA. Watch.
Surveillance tool that expires this coming week. It obviously allows the FBI to surveil potential terrorists who are overseas. And we don't know right now if this individual was radicalized by somebody like that. But do you think about the importance of having these tools to protect our country from these kinds of threats? And how will you get that message to Congress when there's a Congress right now that's skeptical about renewing those powers?
Well, Jackie, I know both sides of it because FISA was used against me and very, very viciously by a dirty cop. You know, we had the Comey gang, Comey and his remnants, and it was used against me. And they used it very illegally. I mean, they signed court orders that were illegal.
Oh,
Every one of those people
court
should
orders
be prosecuted,
illegal.
frankly. They were. It was used against me. Now, that's the bad news. The good news is that the military really needs it, and it's really needed for national security. And there's a division, but I was willing to give that up. I mean, because again, it was used against me more than anybody else, and by bad people, by sick people. Also, these are sick people. Comey was terrible. He was a horrible, sick person. He had real problems. And I use the word to describe him. He was a dirty cop. It's an old-fashioned term.
Okay, all right,
He was
all right.
a dirty cop, bad guy.
What else? Get to it.
There were other bad guys, and they used FISA illegally. They used it for a purpose that wasn't supposed to be used for. Okay. On the other side, you have the military. They really need it. General Raisin King. Look at the success we had in Venezuela. Look at the success we're having with Iran. I mean, Iran is decimated. And we got a lot of information by using FISA. I think we would have been very successful regardless, but it made the job a lot safer and a lot easier. So I would say, and what I've done, and I've told people, I'm willing to give up my security for the military because ultimately that's, to me, the highest cause is the safety of our nation.
And the military, of course. He sent them all into the cities and has a bigger plan than that we'll talk about in some future broadcast. All right, now let's get to CNN's comic relief. That's Scott Jennings. He blames Hakeem Jeffries, of all people, for his rhetoric and says there's a violent streak on the left. And now we played a whole bunch of clips showing that that isn't true. But again, this is what they're saying. They say it over and over and over again. Everybody's starting to believe it. One of the guests, by the way, on this particular segment I'm about to play, mentioned the death of Minnesota State Representative and Sunday school teacher Melissa Hortman, but Jennings accused her of downplaying violence by bringing that up. I'm confused. Jennings is doing one heck of a job, though, on one thing. He's getting the media, again, to talk about both sides being equal, both at fault for extremism on each side, which is not even close to being true. Let's watch. This is a very frustrating segment.
I mean, this guy's obviously another of these left-wing lunatics who's come to kill the president. 3 assassination attempts on the president now. Charlie is dead. You have people on the left lionizing Luigi Mangione.
Well, there's a bar in Wisconsin.
Let me finish.
Yeah.
You have polling showing a tolerance for political violence on the left. And I heard Hakeem Jeffries say this week, it's maximum warfare all the time. We have a violent streak on the left and a rhetoric problem on the left, and it must be acknowledged.
It's political warfare. It's not tanks and troops.
When I was at the Department of Justice, what we found is after the 2020 election, there was a significant rise of threats to all elected leaders, state legislators, some who were killed, to our president, Joe Biden at the time, Barack Obama, someone tried to go into his residence. This is a problem.
Who's the president?
Hold on.
How many assassination attempts?
There are several assassination attempts to other presidents that were not successful. I agree.
And just quickly, the Speaker of the House in Minnesota, a Democrat, lost her life to political violence this past summer. This is not solely a problem on the left. It is a problem across the board. It is a rising crisis.
Don't downplay it.
It is a rising crisis in this country.
Stop generalizing the left.
Appalling.
And stop generalizing the left as the entire left.
Candidates campaigning with Hassan Piker.
Listen to me. Stop generalizing the left as the left is the entire problem. I'm not mad at you, Scott. I want you to be truthful. And the truth is that both the left and the right, there are loons on the right too. And if you're going to sit here and tell me there are not, then that is just a disgrace.
Well, I would personally disagree. I don't think that it's even something you can equate. It's not the same. It's totally not the same. Now, there are going to be certain people saying certain outrageous comments on the left. I've seen the comments, I think so-and-so should be dead. I can't wait to celebrate his death, so on and so forth. That's free speech. That's what it's called. If you call somebody up like a Republican and threaten them, that's a threat. That's something you can't do. That's illegal. But if you go on social media and say, geez, when is this guy going to die? That's not a threat. That's just free speech. So anyway, that's Scott Jennings getting this entire panel to agree that it's both sides. Are we going back to that? Seriously? No, come on. Oh, one of the guys on the panel mentioned the bar in Wisconsin. He was going to tell you about the Minocqua Brewing Company and its owner, who's pretty out there. It's Kirk Branstad. He's been outspoken. He's had billboards up. He's run for office, and he's trying to keep his brewery alive. Now, this is what he said. He has promised free beer when Trump dies. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. It's free beer. First of all, you can't argue with that. And secondly, so what? Right? So what? Is that as bad, and I'm going to read this, as Trump celebrating the death of former FBI Director Robert Mueller on Truth Social, saying, Robert Mueller just died. Good. I'm glad he's dead. He can no longer hurt innocent people. I think I could say the same thing about Trump eventually, right? Well, Scott Jennings, thoughts on it? I'll wait. All right, that's it for this edition of Media World Extra. I'm John Peterson. We'll talk again tomorrow.